evidence against somebody else. And it's the first thing that you think of. Who's stitching me up now? You start thinking of people you've arrested. Somebody that you arrested might go to ICAC and say, well, look, and during the course of this arrest, this man took $2,000 off me. I don't think this was likely to happen in my case, but it's the thought that goes through your mind. They searched my house, they photographed my house, and then I was taken down to Hutchinson House, to ICAC headquarters.
And it's here to Hutchinson House that Inspector Brown returns for the most important interview of his life. We waited for him outside. An hour or so later, he came out.
How'd it go?
That's it, it's all over.
It's all over?
Finished with.
No charges?
Nothing, no mention of them. Just, here's your passport back, that's it, goodbye.
Does that mean there was no case to answer?
I don't know about what they're going to do with the case, but as far as I'm concerned, nothing else.
So they've actually said, forget about it?
Yeah, no longer under investigation. That's it, I'm finished with them.
How do you feel?
Great. Really good.
What do you do now? Back to work?
No, back for a beer.
At midday today, in the middle of a crowded marketplace, 4 armed men robbed 2 security guards. They escaped with more than $500,000 in cash.
We covered the shotgun which was taken from the man who was robbed. S689195B. And the serial number S689195B, just the same. Remington Model 870. Standard issue.
Detective Inspector John Norman of the local CID is handling the case.
Just basically here, the shot went up in the air. They went, they came running out of here.
Running here?
No, first of all, the 2 security men came out of here. Came to here, approached by the 2 men with guns. And at that point, fight started, shot up in the air. They grabbed the money and ran. When they're carrying out the search for these wanted persons, they come across that chap who immediately started to run away. So they stopped him. They found a packet of DD in his pocket.
A dangerous drug?
Yeah, and an unexpected bonus. And they also, he put up a bit of a struggle, which is always dangerous with PTU folkies. Yeah. So he's going to pay the price of that now. It wasn't his day, was it? Any other witnesses who get the names and addresses from PDU? And the UB blokes also the names and addresses of witnesses, all right? On there, it's the names and addresses of 2 witnesses. And then we'll all go back to the station and take statements from the security guards, all right?
Norman didn't stay long on the case. Crimes involving firearms and robberies over $5,000 are handled by a Special Crimes Bureau from police headquarters. Now Superintendent Ben Munford is in charge.
In my office, just down the end of the corridor. My DCs are now taking statements from the various, I think 3 witnesses we got here today. And they're still doing them, long statements. My DC's also prepared a sketch plan of the scene. We searched all the junks and we alerted the Marine Department, Marine Police. No sign at that stage.
To my mind, it doesn't gel.
I
don't think they've come up. I think they must have had a car back down the road there.
I reckon too. Just the other side of that underpass. It's the obvious place to do it.
And there was no suggestion of masks this time. That's last time they were wearing surgical masks, yeah.
Urban area, yes.
Munford's man, Detective Inspector Wong, gets the basic facts from the local CID. Wong's tough, mentally and physically, and like all members of the Special Crimes Bureau, he's a crack shot.
Watch and shoot, stand by.
More than once, he stared down the barrel of a gangster's revolver and come out on top. The police have established that the 2 security guards were taking the money to the bank when they were held up by 4 unmasked Chinese. They must have had a good look at their attackers. Perhaps they can identify them. There's only one other witness prepared to help the police, a beggar.
嗰個額瘦少少啊。
個額。因為當時嗰個人快咗啦，同埋比較黑啲，有你好似你咁上下黑，呢一個又比較你即係好似你咁黑。
Identikits. Probably a waste of time, but you never know.
高唔高？高唔高？高唔高多？
係咁上。
係咁上啊？
冇錯，額頭都有啲暗瘡嘅，額頭嗰度。
It's 4 hours after the robbery. Things are moving slowly. Witnesses are poring over photos and criminal records. The police are catching up with statements and identikits. Inspector Wong can't do much for a while, so he's taken some time off with his wife and son Tiger, who's 3.
呢邊，喂。呢邊，嗰度。走返屋企先，哇！走返屋企。
Next day, Wong's squad's ready to start work. The only suspects are the unfortunate security men. It could easily have been an inside job. So Wong's first step is to eliminate the victims themselves.
When I'm questioning them, I will assess them from their appearance and from their manners to see whether they're telling the truth or not.
又係你究竟有冇同人哋串謀先？
我冇。
冇。冇啊嘛？冇。真係冇。
冇添啊，1000蚊。
If they are lying, they will think for a period and trying to figure out a story to answer my question. If they are telling the truth, they will just answer the question very quickly. If you let them think for a long time, they can give you a perfect wrong story, counterfeit the story.
Wong's squad has returned to the scene of the crime. The theory is that the beggar couldn't possibly have been the only witness of an armed robbery by 4 men in a crowded market in broad daylight. Apparently he was.
咁一個人一到咁近距離嘅時候，你可以攞長龍攞柄撞佢㗎。
唔係啊，我嗰陣時你明白我環境地方大，而且我又冇留意到嗰個即係側跟嗰度有個人飆出嚟，我個方向咧就係望住隔離，同埋望住嗰個即係嗰個兄弟啊，玩住袋錢嘅兄弟。我冇留意到，如果留意到我已經攞咗揦低佢啦，係嘛？仲等你慢慢知埋。咁佢一打走埋嚟嗰時已經，我即係佢已經即係想擁跌佢㗎啦，嗰陣時。
你明知介款好危險㗎嘛，揸住長龍梗係要左望右望，好似過馬路咁左望右望先安全㗎。係
啊，我明白。咁我已經望咗右㗎啦，再即係冇話即係好話好聽，冇話2隻眼拆開嚟望㗎。唔係話我意思咪話即係，總唔知我咧就望。
I think they're telling the truth after questioning them for a period.
喺當日即係11號嗰日咧發生劫案。
The next stage, I will pass the information to all my informers on street, and they will be looking for the suspects.
出去即係睇下有冇即係揾下啲線人，有冇咧就消息，睇下有冇關於單案嘅消息，係咪明白啊嘛？明白。
3 days later, Inspector Wong has some intriguing news. An anonymous person has informed him that not only did he witness the robbery, but positively recognized 2 of the gang. Tonight, Wong plans to meet this informer for the first time.
好，一喺褲頭，呢窗度，行去嗰邊，我爹哋行嚟啊！
差人未喐，哇！哎呀！
未喐，舉手。
你睇到啊！
好。啊！
死咗啦！
到你啦，舉手。呀！快啲！砰砰砰！咪刮咗先。啊！刮咗喎！哎呀！啊你嚟！你嚟！ 一張10蚊紙我。俾張10蚊紙我。就好快翻嚟嘅。係啊係啊。一張夠啦一張。
要唔要放上去租啦？
要啊。佢哋話費事多架車去咧，其實我哋架車去，咪淨係佢架車去坐埋上佢架車，咁啱夠啦。
點咗翻嚟啊？
飲酒嘅。
點咗翻嚟？
頭先中午爸打電嚟叫爹哋出去做嘢啊嘛。
爹哋早啲翻嚟啦！爹哋早啲翻嚟咁啊！
知唔知啊？食緊呢啲先，快啲。
爹哋早啲翻嚟啦咁啊！
食緊啲嘢，快啲。
爹哋早啲翻嚟咁啦，我等你知唔知？同你食宵夜好唔好？翻嚟同你食宵夜。翻嚟同你食宵夜。
唔該，甩頭。
拜拜。
開門俾爹哋啦。
你好，你早啲翻嚟啊？
好啦，爹哋早翻嚟嚇。
你早啲翻嚟買綠色車俾我開車。
買綠色車俾你開車係咪啊？好啦，爹哋要賺錢賺得錢翻嚟買綠色車俾你開車，知唔知啊？
爸爸，你嗰個綠色車啊？
At 8:15, Wong sets out to meet his informer. He told us we could go with him some of the way, but wouldn't allow us to film this first meeting. An hour or so later, Wong returns home after his meeting with the informer.
I interviewed him at about 2100 hours, and he told me that he saw 4 persons. The first one was running with a Remington shotgun in his left hand and a pistol in his right hand. The second one was holding a revolver in his right hand. And also he recognized these 2 persons. They met each other usually at the restaurant at Taipo many times per week.
Did they see him or recognize him?
They, according to the informant, he said that they couldn't recognize him because he was wearing a sunglass and he was facing the wall.
Have we checked him out at all with the local CID with regards to he possibly having a grudge against any of these 2 buggers?
Yes, I would do that.
Because, you know, I'm just thinking if he's trying to finger somebody, he might have some sort of motive involved other than...
I checked with the persons in Taipo. They confirmed that there's such a person living there. And according to the information of the residents in Taipo, they said that he's quite a dangerous person.
If we just pick him up in that restaurant, you only got 2. There'll be at least another 2.
Yeah.
If not 1 more. There should be, I reckon, a minimum of 5 blokes. Possibly 6.
Yeah.
So we want to house these 2 and then put them under surveillance to try and identify the other 2 people involved. And see if you can get that address registration on the surveillance vehicle changed to a typo registration. And that will give us a reasonable good cover to be operating in the area with that vehicle. Okay, fine. Thanks very much.
Wong's boss, Superintendent Munford, didn't seem all that excited. We discovered later that this was because he knew something that Wong didn't. Secretly, he's put 2 other squads onto the case, and one of them's also got a good lead.
穿過你帶2條帶嘅有，係啦。
But Wong's squad has had the go-ahead to carry out intensive surveillance on the 2 targets named by the informer.
電心。意思都夠啊，打死冇得夠。約咗佢出嚟，但係盡可能咧，我哋會抌佢出九龍先拉佢嘅。
而家我出去競選香港先生啲身材嘅，即刻話你可以申請啦咁啊。可以申請選舉香港先生，咁啊唔係幾？
We set off in the back of a police surveillance vehicle disguised as an ordinary commercial van. We're heading for Tai Po, a small town 15 miles away. Wong's informer has said that the targets often go to a restaurant in the town and that he's seen them there with a gun discussing a check for $190,000. The informer has arranged to meet both men in the same restaurant today, but first he'll meet the police to prepare a trap. If the informer has no objection, the police agree that we can film the meeting.
即係黃天生嗰個咧就係佢證名啦。係。啊，就
769新界嘅。
Wong's informant does allow us to film. He tells the inspector that one of the targets is already waiting in the restaurant.
我又得啦，我喺出邊等你啊，咁我又聽唔到。幾多信俾我？即係可能叫我唔好出去啦，幾多嘢情？即係佢吹啦，可能嘅情點樣？可能佢同阿成咧，
所以你講數
攞錢啊咁，或者另一方面。
如果你能夠跟佢出去嘅話咧，就最好。即係耐唔中提下啲街名啊，即係細聲啊。嗱，依度有嚿電池，我教你點換先。
The informer's fitted with a bugging device. He'll now meet the man in the restaurant. If he can persuade this man to take him to the second target, A might lead to B, B to C, and with luck, the police might arrest the whole gang. With Wong's squad in the background and the bug on the informer, the trap's set.
啱聽錯啊！我掹唔使啦，你行。 Unfortunately, with an operation like this, there's no way a film crew can be present, so we're trapped in the van. Half an hour later, like it never happens in the movies, there's a cock-up. One of Wong's men has arrested the suspect prematurely. The arrested man is rushed to this local police station. It's now vital that the police get as much information from him as soon as possible before the rest of the gang gets to know. 係咪咁嘅意思啊？
而家你講，
我都同你講啦，如果你同我合作啊，你係最聽我個啊！
而家同你合作緊啦，
知唔知啊？嚇？
我唔知道我點樣講啫。
考乜撚嘢啊？啊？講出嚟啊！
你而家話我害人，我點樣害人？我邊有害到人？
而家我叫你講出嚟啊！
我講咩出嚟？我點知道咩啊？咁我唔知道點樣講出嚟啊！
而家好撚醒啦，而家好撚醒喎，而家你。
我唔係啊，唔係咁樣講啊！
你而家好撚醒喎！你而家好撚醒啊！我知道你好撚醒啊！
唔係醒喎，而家。
嚇？乜撚嘢都識答啊！
我知你叫我講咁多，我咪講。
我咪叫你講啦，而家我叫你講啲槍喺邊度？
咁我冇我點？
我出嚟㗎，嗱你唔好害撚到阿坤咧，俾人喐撚到半邊不遂啊！知唔知啊？
我邊度攞啲槍出嚟啊？
如果有人見過你啲槍，你應承過我交出嚟㗎嘛？啱唔啱先？啱唔啱先？啱唔啱？
咁我冇槍咩？
我哋真係啲特警隊啊！我哋有好撚多特權㗎，你知唔知啊？
我知道。
你知啊嘛？你明白？即係我哋乜撚嘢做乜撚嘢都合法㗎，我哋係屬於所謂外國警察裏邊嘅內政部嘅，你知唔知啊？我哋有無上權威嘅，知唔知啊？知唔知啊？唔係啲大圈仔咁撚驚我哋個黨咩？咁撚驚特警隊咩？啱唔啱啊？人哋驚特警隊驚乜撚嘢啫？就係驚我哋拳頭夠硬啫嘛，係咪？有牙力可以講嘢，啱唔啱啊？係咪啊？啱唔啱啊？你唔好做人咁撚死板先得㗎，你一遲早死嘅。
我唔係死板啦，而家你問我都照直講俾你聽啦，大家都合作啦，我都講咗俾你聽啦。
咁人哋見你嗰張車點樣樣計啊？
咁兩張車係講個人㗎嘛，梁碧光啊嘛。
10幾萬啊！19萬幾？點樣借錢借19萬幾俾你啊？點樣借錢借19萬幾俾你先？你有乜撚嘢撚款俾人哋咁撚值錢？19萬幾20萬？點撚計？有乜撚嘢？你乜撚嘢值錢先？我
睇唔到嗰張 number。
你做嘢大啊？嚇？槍咬老遠啊？咬10幾萬啊？啱唔啱啊？都冇，唔好再硬頸啦！你害撚死佢嘅。
我冇害人哋啊！
問下佢有冇見過佢支槍？阿陸叔就話佢有支槍嚟。
Inspector Wong's running out of time. He decides to take a chance. The informer's also at the station. The police are pretending they've arrested him. Wong now confronts suspect with informer, saying that the informer has confessed all. The informer states openly he's seen the suspect with a gun. Then, to everyone's surprise, the suspect comes out with a remarkable revelation.
我啲槍神警錄㗎，佢自己當差，佢梗係有槍啦。我自己唔係當差，我主要係揾啲槍嚟啊。佢攞入嚟俾我睇㗎。
攞嚟俾你睇，佢自己攞嚟俾你睇㗎。OK。呢個又唔使招呼佢哋㗎。係，暫時先。合作就喺出邊。做咩講啊？神經錄我哋講嗰支槍唔係佢嘅。人哋講嘅嘢如果唔撚啱，點解唔撚啱駁佢啊？
我點樣駁啊？佢話神經錄同埋我一齊入去，我梗係同埋一齊入去啦。
係啊，嗰陣時你同埋神經錄一齊入嚟啊嘛。跟住就你俾支槍佢睇啊嘛。
神經錄拎出嚟俾佢睇啊嘛。嗰陣我同神經錄仲係 friend 啊，冇買咩啊，咁樣佢成日同埋。
And so it appears that the arrested man, a self-confessed triad, has a friend who's a policeman. Wong still has to sort out whether the gun belongs to the policeman or the suspect. The prisoner's taken from the station to the village where he lives. While the others look for the gun, Wong questions his parents.
如果佢肯同我哋講實話嘅話咧，我哋會俾次機會佢同法官講，佢協助我哋調查，即係好幫我哋手，你明白？
第二條路咧，如果佢同我哋唔合作嘅話咧，我哋咧就秉公辦理，明白？因為法律不外人情，我哋負責執行我哋職責咧，就係血面無私嘅，你明白？
The search has produced nothing for the police and a lot of worry for an anxious mother. Inspector Wong has sent for the policeman who's supposed to have given his gun to the suspect. His nickname is Crazy Luke, and when Wong puts the charge to him, he certainly lives up to his name. He cries and vomits when he's told that the suspect is saying that the gun which was seen by the informer was in fact his, Crazy Luke's.
一個人講你啊，男子漢大丈夫，乜撚嘢都唔撚驚。而家我所照知嘅就係實情，我同你講清楚。有乜嘢事我都話黑板字抹過就算啦，啱唔啱？大家伙計，我亦唔想做你，我亦唔想你又令你失去份職業，啱唔啱啊？係咪？我所需要嘅嘢我就知道嘅實情係點撚樣。點解佢會講話你俾支槍佢玩咧？咁撚奇撚怪。
解釋嗰陣冇得解釋㗎，上。
點解冇得解釋嘅？點解佢會俾啲你話佢話你俾支槍佢玩先？佢又同你咁撚 friend， 你又俾個錢佢使，你冇使過佢錢，啱唔啱先？係咪？真係冇啊！真係。你明唔明白？我真係冇見過。係咪？如果我認為你係有，我有證據支持，你係有見過嗰支槍，你亦俾嗰支槍佢玩過嘅話咧，我就公事公辦。
Faced with a farcical web of allegations and denials, Inspector Wong makes one last check. Perhaps the security guards can identify the suspect. The guards are quite certain the police have the wrong man, and with no case against him, he's set free. Wong's been up a blind alley. So was Superintendent Munford right? Was this an instance of informers settling old scores? Or was the whole thing simply a matter of mistaken identity? Inspector Wong hasn't got time to find out. $500,000 are still missing. But next week, the case of the payroll robbery is solved.
For the last 10 days, Detective Inspector Wong has been trying to crack a payroll robbery. This morning at 7, the police made a major breakthrough. Acting on information, they arrested 2 men and brought them back to headquarters. They should have the whole gang behind bars by this time tomorrow if things go according to plan.
The police are certain that the 2 men they've arrested are part of the armed gang that grabbed $500,000. When they were arrested this morning, a gun was found in their flat. The police have got to get as much out of their prisoners as they can, as quickly as they can, for it won't be long before the word gets out that they've been picked up, and the rest of the gang aren't going to sit around waiting for a knock on the door.
Why? It
It'd be nice to think the police were cracking this case by pure detection, but it's not quite like that. Carrots dangled in front of bounty hunters often produce the quickest results.
It's true enough. You've got to imagine, well, you've got to think about what Hong Kong's like for a start. It's not like a little village. where everybody's looking out, got nothing to do but better to do but look out the window and say, well, I saw a nasty, suspicious man loitering outside and phone the local police. People are very money conscious and they're only interested in themselves. They're working for themselves and they've got no time to bother about what anybody else is doing. So in the robbery last week of the fruit market, you've got $560,000 stolen. If we recovered it all, there is a $56,000 reward there. Then in this particular case, the security company involved are going to be offering a reward of $10,000. And the police would probably be matching that with a similar sum. In Hong Kong, money is everything.
Of the 2 prisoners, this man's been singled out for VIP treatment. The police hope that a soft cell approach will persuade him to become a police witness, to cough, as they say in the force. It's an unofficial game of horse trading, where neither side trusts the other, because guarantees are impossible. The police have got enough information to arrest the gang, but not quite enough to get the case to stick in court. If the prisoner talks, it'll certainly help. He does. Among other things, he tells the police that Dai Pao, the gang leader, will have dinner at a friend's house today. The police now have the address. Inspector Wong's in charge of Dai Pao's arrest. He insists his squad goes into action in bulletproof vests. He knows the gang's armed. It was armed when it held up the 2 security men. It could end up with people getting hurt if he's not careful. There's an added sinister touch in the gang leader's name. Dai Pao can mean either big liar or big gun. Unfortunately, the detective's car won't start. It's almost farcical. A flat battery can ground a flying squad. As we near the estate where Dai Pao is supposed to be, the blue lights disappear and sirens are silenced. Wong closes in. Every exit's covered, every officer is armed. We get the signal to move in. Big Gun's relieving himself in the lavatory, and we're relieved too. He gives himself up without a murmur, caught literally with his pants down.
Watch it, this is very sleepy here. 唔係依邊，43蚊你嗰邊，係嘛？43蚊係咪邊邊啊？好似依邊係嘛？依邊，嗰邊。
Dai Pao's hosts are bewildered and angry. The police are everywhere, but they don't know what it's all about. The gang leader himself takes his arrest calmly.
你喺度攞翻件衫先，攞翻件衫先。你攞翻件衫，你件衫喺呢度嚟㗎。大炮，大炮拎件衫，拎翻件衫啦！大炮，屌你有冇噏出嚟？屌你拉鳩個謀殺添啊！再嘈！你 知話咩？你講嘢我信你，但係佢咧，佢乜撚嘢啫？警長打電話嚟㗎。你嗰啲 checkbook 喺度啊？啱唔啱啊？我哋全部唔帶翻去。我帶晒翻去，因為我哋有手續。我話俾你聽啊，你又唔信？點解你支票喺度？我又啱啱冇過嚟啫。攞嚟3萬，我攔得住㗎。我哋咧就 CID 特警，屬於國際刑警㗎。謀殺啊！告拉屌你老母！佢有冇大聲啊？幾張啊？張紅嚟啊！咁醜啊！唔好話你哋啊！我都話我啱啱上嚟玩阿培㗎啦。你話唔識佢㗎嘛？你唔識呢度㗎嘛？我唔識佢啊！我嚟玩。有冇參過？呢個係手屋。好，一句到尾。OK， 把先你留喺度啦。坐定嗰先，等我走你先。翻咗先。
Dai Pao has admitted he's got 2 homemade guns in the room he rents. A small admission. It's only a matter of time before the police would find them anyway. We set off with the arrested man to pick up the guns.
Got to lock the door.
你唔使車黐我啦，抹得清清楚楚噶啦，你鬥都唔緊要啦。咁樣貴啊！300子彈，好啲錢都少嘅。300嗰個咪差佬俾你㗎？彈褪咗嚟啦。
One of the guns is old and rusty, and Inspector Wong nearly makes a fatal error. He's cocked the firing pin only to discover that there's a bullet jammed in the barrel. If he releases the pin, the gun will explode.
It's really dangerous. 咁緊實㗎！你個人唔好衝住嗰個方向啊！唔好喐佢先，唔好喐佢先。咁攞個銀仔頂住啦，你攞個銀仔頂住啦。頂翻佢先。
The problem's solved by putting a coin between the firing pin and the bullet.
係掹個機啊！你掹個機先慢慢褪啦。掹。係。冇辦法啦，唔使咪走機咪打親自己春袋都冇埋。嘢個褲袋。
Tony here. We have got arrested Dai Pao. You don't know who is Dai Pao? Jiang Honglei, and he take us to Mei Fu Shan Chun. Yeah, where we found 2 modified pistol. Yeah, and also 7 rounds of .38 ammunitions. And can we have the photograph people and also the fingerprint man come to this flat? OK， 咁咪再影多張。
Next day, everyone's feeling worn out. They've worked all night, but they're delighted with the night's work. They believe they've now got the whole gang behind bars, 8 in all. Suddenly, there's trouble. It's dawned on Dai Pao that someone has informed on him. In a furious temper, he hurled a glass at a policeman.
The $118,000 one where the shotgun was stolen, that's the group. So at the moment it doesn't look as though there's any island crime there.
The head of the bureau is delighted to report the night's work to his superior.
Oh, you name it, we found them. This is a Beretta. And this is the Star, Spanish. This is rather an interesting one from the antique collector's point of view. It's a type of gun they used to carry in the beginning of this century as a gentleman's pocket gun for shooting the dogs that used to chase you in the street. Oh, it's still perfect working condition. It's a .320 caliber. The standard .32 won't fit it. It's slightly out of line with the standard .32. Then vast quantity of ammunition. 3/8 specials, which tend to suggest that there's some more guns somewhere. That's 2.2, 2.5. And spare magazines. So quite a hefty little haul.
It was undoubtedly a successful swoop. 8 men arrested for the payroll robbery, guns, ammunition, and one other major find.
Well, this was seized up in Tune 1. At the moment, all I've got in there is the currency. This was $800,000 worth of forged American banknotes, nearly all $100 bills. We got some $20 bills as well, but they're not too bad, but they're not top-grade notes either, because they're a mass production note with a seizure this size. They're not. Each one is not hand engraved, so they've been run off an offset printing press.
Was this a surprise?
We didn't expect this. No, this was a bonus, should we say? There was 3 guns also seized in this box when we were going for the guns. With regards to this lot, our inquiries are only just starting. I've just handed the plates up to the commercial crimes people this morning, and they'll now be tracing back to see where these notes have reoccurred, if at all. We've got one bloke in custody who was in possession of these, but I don't think we have in custody the bloke that made the plates for sure.
What about the money stolen during the payroll robbery? Has any of that been recovered?
All we've got so far at the moment is $20,000 in one bank account. We're still doing bank account raids today and for the next couple of days and checking other bank accounts. So we're still looking for money. But we know that at least $200,000, i.e. almost half of it, was lost in Macau on the casinos.
The robbers themselves are alleged to have come from mainland China.
All but one came from mainland China. Most of them were ex-Red Guards or involved in the militia, People's Militia.
Today, the 8 prisoners will line up in an identification parade alongside some extras from a local film studio who will stand in for a few dollars an hour. It's about the only chorus line these extras won't want to be picked out of. In a moment, the security guards will be brought in and asked to identify the men who robbed them.
用嘢係嘛？
你仲食乜嘢煙啊你啊？屌你乜你情唔撚夠咩？
Inspector Wong won't be involved in the identification parade. It'll be conducted by an independent officer who's had nothing to do with the case.
Well, my name's Detective Superintendent Halliday. This is my interpreter, Mr. Lau.
嗱咁啊，佢介紹你俾你識，佢本人係咩㗎？
Now, I've been asked to do this identification parade because I am from the Criminal Intelligence Bureau, or in other words, I have no connection with the particular case. Whether or not you people were connected with these offences, frankly, I do not know. My only purpose here this morning is to make sure that this parade is conducted fairly.
嗱咁啊，佢本人喺樹今朝早咧個最大目的咧就要主持嘅應人做到公道嘅。
Right, well, first of all, does anybody object to taking part in identification parade?
咁啊，你哋咁多位有冇反對唔俾人認嘅咧？即係反對唔中意俾人認嘅？你哋咁嘅權㗎，你有冇反對咧？你出聲人話有冇反對
Right.
All objection.
Okay, now then.
嚇咩？
可唔可以講得？
講
嘅。
可唔可以俾個梳頭？
啊，先係
可以。
hold my hair.
Yeah, get on with it.
唔該。
有人揾俾你㗎。邊個梳？都攞嚟自己喺呢度用。
Yeah, all right, I'm coming to that in a minute.
一陣都有，一陣。唔該。而家減少7個人8個人，
你就得，
你可以請得啦，分喺我先啦。走啊
！What's that for? 30歲啊，我哋就得。All right, prisoners, I've asked 8 to leave the room, so that leaves a total of 32 here. Together with you lot, that will be a total of 40 people on the parade. Okay? Can you take your hands out of your pockets? Right, the next question is, do you, any of you, apart from what you've done, you've been combing your hair and all that, do you want to change your appearance in any way?
咁樣你哋想咗個容貌方面想唔想有改變？點樣有冇啊？你哋啊？想唔想啊？啊？
容貌就冇啦，不過我認為我出庭嗰個時間啊，人哋影咗個相喺報紙上有啊，呢件衫又好特別㗎，做似乎係唔公平㗎。
Why don't you change your shirt with somebody else then?
咁啊，你其中同第一邊個好揀咧？換呢件恤衫着啦。
就我隨意可以揀一個。
Yeah, change it with somebody else then.
同任何邊個都好。
What about you?
咁你咧？
你唔使咁講，啱㗎啦。
你過唔過想換衫啊？
All right, change your shirt, sir.
俾你用啊
Come on, hurry up, we ain't got all day.
你睇睇有邊個？我呢邊。邊個把梳？好
Behind you, you can see 2 lines of numbers. You can stand anywhere you like.
俾你行埋去啦，揀邊位任你揀嘅。
Okay, come with the witness, Inspector. That is 我承認。Good morning, I'm Detective Superintendent Halliday. This is my colleague, Mr. Lau.
佢話早晨，對你講早晨，佢係夏里德警司，我姓劉嘅，幫我做翻譯嘅。
哦 ，Mr. Han。
Thank you for coming this morning.
好多謝你今朝早嚟嚇。
In fact, we've asked you to come in connection with a case of armed robbery which took place on the 11th of July at 12:40 hours. And at that time, a number of guards from Hong Kong Security Company Limited were escorting something over $500,000 in cash past the Hop Yik Fruit Lan in Sek Lung Street, Yau Ma Tei, when they were robbed by 4 men. You, I take it, were one of the guards, were you?
你係其中一個嗰啲會員嚟㗎嘛 ？Yes.
That must have been rather frightening for you.
咁當時你好驚慌係咪啊 ？Yes.
Okay, well, perhaps you were frightened then, but there's nothing to be worried about this morning. Okay? There's a lot of policemen around.
而家好多差人喺附近嘅呢度嘅。
I emphasise, don't be worried.
嗱，佢再講下添，你就唔使擔心嘅。
All right, so we'll start up there and we'll walk down the line.
咁咧就喺嗰處開始一路喺石巷處行去慢慢行。
Mr. Orr, take your time.
When I was robbed, there's one holding a pistol.
I see. Well, why have you picked out number 16?
咁樣你點解指出16號嗰人出嚟咧？The feature of these men similar to that robber. I can't identify any other.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
好多謝你。
Would you kindly leave by that door?
離開喺嗰處離開呢度啦。
It's not an excuse to talk. Can we better quiet, please?
冇傾偈啊！
I said shut up and I meant it.
嗱，佢叫你唔好出聲嘅，佢意思係叫你唔好出聲㗎，唔係講笑㗎。
Right, number 16. That witness said that the features of the man who was holding the gun are rather similar to you. So in other words, he did not positively identify you. I will write down the words that the witness said.
Dai Pao may smile, but they'll all be prosecuted. The police are sure they've got enough to make the charges stick. The case of the payroll robbery is wrapped up. And today, Inspector Wong and family can spend a nice, quiet Sunday by the sea.
You can sometimes forget in downtown Kowloon that Hong Kong is British, but not here in the heart of the New Territories. Sunday afternoon at Fanling Police Station is as English as Sussex and cider. A curry lunch provided by the force's Pakistani contingent adds the perfect colonial flavour to cricket and cicadas. For these country coppers, life is easy-paced and not too exacting.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Inspector Ian Grant is an ex-Leith policeman. Here at Plover Cove in the New Territories, he's found a home from home. Grant's in charge of the force's village patrol unit, a special squad of police with the special task of maintaining law and order in the remotest parts of the colony.
Morning. Now, some of the things I want you to pay special attention to in the villages. First of all, strangers. If there are any strangers in the villages, find out who they are and what they're doing.
The villagers of the New Territories are Hakka people, the original Chinese of Hong Kong. They're farmers and fishermen with a language and tradition all of their own. It would be impossible for the police if Grant's men weren't also Hakkas, operating on their own ground among their own folk. Here the clan system is everything, and the village patrol unit has to be one of the family.
See you in the office afterwards. For those of you who don't know, PC 7785 is getting married.
Whilst the rest of Hong Kong rapidly succumbs to hamburgers and Coca-Cola, in this part of the colony it's still possible to glimpse something of the old China. The villages here are isolated and secretive. What little crime there is often dealt with by the villagers themselves, though kangaroo courts are discouraged by the police. There's little trouble here, but nevertheless the people are subjects of the colony, and the government must know what goes on in their hearts and minds. And this is where Inspector Grant and the village patrol unit come in.
We want to promote some kind of police-public relationship with these villagers because they tend to keep to themselves, because they've been keeping to themselves for years. In some ways we're the eyes and ears of the government out in the hills. And I find myself in the job where I'm like a county bobber in the Highlands. I'm just wandering around the hills, visiting villages on a regular basis, giving them police coverage, which wouldn't be possible on the normal day-to-day running of a station.
Grant's patrols are unashamedly a public relations exercise to ensure that the natives are content with their colonial lot.
You're not going out there with the task in mind of issuing summonses for parking your vehicle on a zebra crossing, etc. I don't mind arresting people, I don't mind handing out traffic summonses, etc. But it's nice when you don't have to. The only thing that worries me more than anything else when I'm walking through the hills are snakes. If they jump out, I think I'd just run a mile. Yeah. Even if it wasn't poisonous, I reckon I'd probably die of shock. Good tie, Goody. In the New Territories, there's a number of deserted villages. And this is just a general trend, because the majority of people in UK, mainly in the restaurant businesses, come from the New Territories. They're not from Kowloon or Hong Kong Island. Most of them are village people. So a deserted village, there are certain things that could happen there. There has been instances of heroin or dangerous drug manufacturing taking place in isolated spots. It's mainly isolated because of things like the smell, the chemicals, etc. If you did that, say, in a built-up area, it's certainly easier to locate and detect the offence. So a deserted village, which wasn't policed, would be an ideal spot for someone to start up a manufacturing den.
It may look like a pleasant youth hostler's ramble on a summer's day, but with the temperature in the 90s and 1,000-foot hills to hike over, these are pretty grueling route marches. The morale of the men is all important, and Grant's men are not too happy at the moment. Like all Chinese, they believe in feng shui. That's to say, the natural harmony and balance of their surroundings. If things are out of balance, then bad luck will surely follow. They're convinced that the unit's been experiencing some bad feng shui recently, and they'd like him to do something about it.
I think it's a very important part of the job to keep the men happy, because, let's face it, they're the guys on the ground. You don't exist without them. And they're the men that speak to the villagers. They're the men that find out. My lads are superstitious, like most Chinese are. The feng shui, which literally means wind and water, affects surroundings in individual places. If the wind and water is good, the surroundings are good, then it's a happy place. This station, there's a range of hills at the back, and the outline resembles an elephant with not too much imagination. And the trunk of the elephant sweeps down into the reservoir, which is just below the station. Therefore, the elephant with the trunk getting a drink, that's good feng shui, and it's a happy place. But recently, the Urban Services Department built a rubbish collection point outside the station. And unfortunately, this resembles a tiger. So the tiger in the same location as the elephant, well, they don't get on together. So therefore, it's not such a happy place. So therefore, the lads aren't too happy. And hopefully, if you can paint it, say, white, the tiger will disappear. The elephant's happy, the lads are happy, so I'm happy. There is, in fact, a chap up in Lok Ma Chau, and he's got a fairly serious feng shui problem. There has been a suicide in the station. I don't know exactly what he's going to do about it.
At Lok Ma Chau, it is serious. No one will stand inside this sentry box since a policeman blew his brains out in it. The station's had an unprecedented run of bad luck, and there's a feeling that the place is jinxed and needs exorcising. The officer in charge is a worried man.
Within a very short space of time, one of my sergeant's wife, the sergeant's wife died of cancer. Also, I had a PC at the age of 21 die of cancer, and also a PC on duty shot himself in the sentry box of the station.
Really? So, that obviously affected the morale of...
It has affected the morale, yes, especially with the sentry box, because it's quite difficult for me to get the PCs to stand inside the sentry box. They were superstitious, no, they won't stand inside.
So the men have requested that you do something about the feng shui of the station?
They would appreciate it if I did. Yes.
In the best traditions of the British Empire, when you've got a problem with a local custom, you bow to it. If the problem is one of feng shui, then of course you send for the feng shui man. At considerable cost, the inspector has done this. The feng shui man's a geomancer, concerned with the harmony of the landscape around the station. This river, it happens to be the border with communist China, is a key feature. If its influence is bad, it could mean that either the border has to move or the station. We waited anxiously to hear his pronouncement.
What he said is, standing up here, you can see the stream upstream down there and flowing down, which from his point of view, he thinks is very good to the station as a whole.
So there's nothing wrong with the front of the station?
No, nothing wrong. Completely nothing wrong. Okay?
Okay.